p.m. in Cairo. Our time for top stories for today, and we start our top stories with the current and latest developments in Libya. Terrorist Daesh group executed 73 young men, including children, from Al-Farjan tribe on the shore of Sab'at area west of Sir City. Terrorist Daesh group has persistently continued their violent assault on marchers by pouring gasoline on them and then burning them. Moreover, the citizens have found 16 bodies crucified and beheaded by the terrorist group near one of the schools in Marah Street in the eastern suburb of Sirte. In the meantime, battles between citizens and the extremist Daesh group continued in Sirte, where the terrorist group sent reinforcement of more than 50 armed vehicles and persons of African and Arab nationalities to the city. Spokesman for the interim government, Hatem Al-Araibi, called on the international community to intervene to support Libya in its war against terrorism, especially after the massacres committed by Daesh group in Sirte. The government spokesman noted that terrorist Daesh group control of Sirte will have an impact on the Mediterranean security as the beginning of a new start of the terrorist group, a great danger for the rest of the Libyan cities, as well as warning to the European countries. In the meantime, news and social websites transmit a statement by the government spokesman calling for launching international airstrikes against Daesh in Sirte. A number of Arab Libyan armed forces elements were martyred and other injured in clashes with the terrorist Daesh group in Benghazi near the commercial port in the city. In the meantime, Air Force launched airstrike on positions of terrorist Daesh group in Sirte. A military source noted that the armed forces responded to the attack and killed dozens of the group's militants. The source also pointed out that the Air Force succeeded to launch airstrikes on the strongholds of terrorist Daesh group. Arab Organization for Human Rights condemned the gross violations of human rights committed against the Libyan people by extremist Daesh group. The organization stressed through a statement the need for concerted Arab and international efforts to stop terrorist crimes committed by the terrorist Daesh group in Sirte. Moreover, the organization stressed the need for Libyan to conglomerate together, address the dangers of terrorism and overcome risk of division. And still in Libya, the interim government called on all parties in Kafra town to stop shooting, resort to the voice of reason and avoid bloodshed among themselves. The government has also called on in a statement the parties themselves to cooperate with reconciliation committees which are exerting efforts to stop the infighting between them and to sit at the direct table to resolve all problems, noting that what is happening in the town of Kafra between partners means only further bloodshed and destruction of the nation's resources. At least 40 migrants died after apparently getting trapped and suffocating in the water-lodged hold of a fishing boat in the Mediterranean, the Italian Navy said today. The victims are thought to have suffocated after inhaling fumes from fuel after the boat took on water in the hold. The captain of the Navy ship leading the rescue said on the Italian state television. Migrants who have arrived in Italy say human traffickers based in Libya charged them between $1,200 US and $1,800 US for a place on the deck of boats. Those crammed in the hold pay about half as much as those above. The head of the Italy's rescue operations told Italian television that 312 survivors had been taken on board, including 45 women and 3 children. He says 7 bodies of the dead had been brought abroad as a ship and some 30 others were still in the hold. The boat was being towed to the Italian island of Lampedusa. It was the second such fatal incident in the Mediterranean this week, during which about 2,000 migrants have been rescued. Last Tuesday, up to 50 migrants went missing when a large rubber dignity sank in the Mediterranean Sea. Around 200 migrants were presumed killed earlier this month on the coast of Libya when their boat capsized. The Mediterranean has become the world's most deadly crossing point for migrants. And now we transfer to Yemen. Forces led to Yemeni President Abdurrahman Mansour Hadi seized Yemen's southern province of Shaba today. Residents and tribesmen said building momentum after weeks of victories against dominant Houthi movement. The loyalist fighters, backed by a Saudi coalition, have advanced on a broad front through southern Yemen in recent weeks, forcing the Houthis and army units aligned with former strongman Ali Abdullah Saleh into retreat. Tribal sources said Abu Saleh, military commander in the area, had agreed with tribal forces to withdraw from the provincial capital attack after a week of fierce fighting throughout the province. Residents said they saw military vehicles retreating north from Iraq today as Hadi forces advanced into the city with a column of tanks and armored vehicles. The Houthis seized the capital Sana'a in September. Hadi fled to the southern port of Aden and from there to Saudi Arabia. Loyalist forces took back full control of Aden last month and have since driven the Houthis from the province of Lahj, Dala and Abiyan, supported by airstrikes and military advisors from a Gulf Arab coalition. And now to Iraq and Daesh crisis. A spate of bombing across Baghdad killed at least 24 people today, 2 days after the deadliest attack in Iraqi capital since Prime Minister Haidar al-Abadi took office 1 year ago. The deadliest attack took place in Shiite district of Habibiyah, where 15 people were killed when a car bomb exploded near an open area where cars are displayed for sale. Habibiyah is near Sadr city, where more than 70 people were killed in a massive truck bomb blast claimed by extremist Daesh group on Thursday. 2 more people were killed and 7 wounded. A bomb blast targeting vehicle repair shops in Taji to the north of the capital. Other blasts in busy commercial streets and markets in Jisdiala, Madian and Iskan killed 7. Security forces and militia groups are fighting terrorist Daesh in Anbar province, the sprawling Sunni heartland in western Iraq. In Baghdad, Abadi has proposed sweeping reforms aimed at reducing corruption and patronage, the biggest changes to the political system since the end of U.S. military occupation. And now about the nuclear in Iran. Iran has given the UN nuclear watchdog information regarding its atomic past, a milestone in potentially meeting in a condition for sanctions relief under an accord reached with world power last month. Alongside July 14 agreement to curb its nuclear program in exchange for easing sanctions, Iran signed a deal with the International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA to resolve the outstanding questions about the possible military dimensions (BMD) of its past nuclear activities. The IAEA said today Iran today provided the IAEA with its explanation in writing and related documents as agreed in the roadmap for the clarification of past and present outstanding issues regarding Iran's nuclear program. For months, Iran had been stalling an IAEA investigations into the possible military aspects of its past nuclear activities, relating mostly to the period before 2003, saying the agency's data for its investigation was fabricated. The IAEA says it takes no information at face value. Under the roadmap, IAEA could ask Tehran to provide more clarification by October 15 so that the watchdog can write a final PMD report by the end of the year. For sanctions, relief can only go ahead once the IAEA says Iran has complied not only with requests about its nuclear past, but also with a range of measures to shrink its current atomic program. And now to Nigeria. Nigerian refugees forced to flee their homes after coming under attack by Boko Haram militants have taken asylum in neighboring Cameroon, where they now live in overcrowded shelter originally intended to house 30,000 people, but is instead sheltering at least 45,000. Cameroon has deployed thousands of soldiers in its northern border areas as part of a military operation aimed at curbing the spillover of violence from Boko Haram strongholds in the northeast Nigeria. However, cross-border attacks by gunmen have become an almost daily occurrence. At least 8 people were killed and about 100 kidnapped by suspected Boko Haram fighters in another far north village last week. Dozens of people were killed in a series of suicide bombings in the town of Marwa last month. Cameroon is a member of a joint military force with Chad, Niger and Nigeria that is fighting to stamp out Boko Haram's 6-year-old insurgency. And finally, from Greece, Eurozone finance minister have agreed to lend Greece up to 86 billion euros after Greek lawmakers accepted their staff conditions despite a revolt by supporters of listed Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras. Assuming approval by the German and other parliaments, 13 billion euros should be in Athens next Thursday to pay pressing bills, and a further 10 billion will be set aside at the European Stability Mechanism embarked to bolster Greece banks' capital. In all, Eurozone governments will lend 26 billion euros in a first time. My audience, that is a wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website at www.watanalkarama.tv. Thanks very much for being with us. My greeting, Rانيا البليدي.
التالي